Hi, I'm Kevin from Creative Digital Media, and in this video, we're going to cover technical SEO. First, I'll explain what technical SEO is and why it's extremely important for how well your website performs in search engines, and how technical SEO plays into, or what role technical SEO plays in the overall SEO bigger picture, the grand scheme of SEO. So to start, what is technical SEO? Technical SEO is one of three broad categories that search engine optimization is broken up into, which are technical SEO, and then there's on-page SEO and off-page SEO. So real quickly, on-page SEO is the process of optimizing essentially the front end of your website, or the visible elements, the things that people actually see. So your URLs for your blog post, your title tags, your meta tags, your keyword placement, optimizing your images with image alt text, even though that kind of falls into both categories. And then off-page SEO is building backlinks and promoting your content on social media, essentially. Those are pretty broad generalizations, but this is a technical SEO video. So diving into technical SEO, technical SEO involves what I have here in my handy dandy notepad. It involves basically the back end structure, or the unseen aspects of your website. And although they're unseen, if your technical SEO isn't properly implemented, your website's going to be a disaster. Technical SEO is the foundation of your website. So if you are building a house and you use shitty cement for your foundation, that's going to affect the entire house. Even though you can't see the foundation from the outside, eventually it's going to crumble and that whole house is going to need to be rebuilt. So the reason you want to focus on technical SEO is it will make doing on-page and off-page SEO a lot easier, because you don't have to worry about focusing on the technical aspects. And some of those aspects include your hosting, using a SEO-friendly content management system. That's what the CMS stands for. And then structuring your website so that search engines can easily crawl and index it. I'm going to go into more detail about the 3-click rule, but it's essentially any page on your website should be accessible, or should be within 3 clicks from, say, your homepage. So if I'm starting at my homepage, I should be able to reach any of my blog posts from 3 clicks. So I don't have to go through 50 different pages in order to find a blog post. And that plays into, or that is essentially user experience, and that implementing a proper SEO or technical SEO strategy will enhance the user experience. Next up is URL structure. So as a general rule, shorter URLs are better. There's a few reasons for it, and I'll show you them because I think it's easier to understand if you see it visually. But using basically your keywords as your slug for certain pages is more visually appealing, and it's easier for users and search engines to understand what a particular page is about. Next is mobile friendliness. Obviously, your website has to be mobile friendly. There's no reason it shouldn't be. It's 2019, and everyone is browsing or is online on their phones. When we're out and about, anytime we need to get to anywhere, we pull out our phones and either throw it in Google Maps or search it on Google or speak it into our phones. This goes hand in hand with mobile friendliness, but your website needs to be fast. So improving the page load speed is extremely important for SEO, and that also goes along with or ties into user experience. If your pages are taking forever to load, that's going to send people scurrying back to the search engines really quickly. So making sure that your pages are loading quickly and are loading correctly. And one way to improve your page speed is using a caching plugin. And lastly is duplicate content. And I'm going to show you a tool that you can enter your website into and use it'll basically scan your website and tell you how much duplicate content you have and which pages are duplicates. In order to avoid any issues with duplicate content, you use what are they're known as canonical URLs, and they essentially just tell search engines if you have several pieces of duplicate content, a canonical URL tells search engines which is the preferred version of that content and therefore should be the indexed version. That applies mostly to e-commerce websites. If you just have a website for your business, then it shouldn't have too much duplicate content if you're creating unique content, but your site will have duplicate content regardless. But with e-commerce websites, especially because they have different variations of the exact same product, a good example of pages that would likely have duplicate content on an e-commerce site would be like, say you have a t-shirt on your e-commerce site and it comes in 5 different colors. There's no difference in the t-shirt from color to color other than the color. Each one of those t-shirts is represented by a unique URL, but they all have the exact same content, with the exception being the color in, say, the description of the t-shirt is different. So in order to avoid issues with duplicate content, you would assign a canonical URL to whichever t-shirt page version is your preferred one. Say the white t-shirt is your preferred version, and then you have 5 other or alternate colors for that t-shirt. The white t-shirt would be the one that Google would index, and on the other color pages, you would, using Yoast or another SEO plugin, you would use a canonical URL that points to the white t-shirt page, and that tells Google that, like, you know that this page has the same content as another page, and the canonical URL points back to that other page. So Google only indexes that primary or preferred page. So that's pretty much it for technical SEO. Now let's take a look at how we can implement some of this stuff on a website. I'm not going to cover hosting or the content management system, other than to say for hosting, I recommend SiteGround, and for a content management system, I'm on WordPress. WordPress is the best content management system out there. It's extremely SEO friendly. It's very user friendly, so it's not difficult to learn. And the options as far as customization are infinite. I think the New York Times is on WordPress. The Huffington Post is a WordPress website. Like, there's a lot of major brands that use WordPress as their content management system, and it's a great platform. So, and it's constantly improving. It's an open source software, so people are constantly developing it and making improvements. So without getting too much of a rant, let's dive in to checking Google using the site search. This is an easy way to basically check your website to see what pages Google has indexed. So to do it, all you do is type in site and then colon and then the root domain for your website. The root domain being, like, you don't need the HTTP, HTTPS, and if you have www, you don't need to enter that. So you just put in yoursite.com and then hit enter or Google search. The results are the pages on my website that have been indexed by Google. So that's a quick and easy way to see which pages have been indexed, and also to check and see how your title tags and your URLs look in the search results, as well as your meta description. And the reason, going back to the URL structure, shorter is better. The reason being, if your URL is too long, it gets truncated by Google, which means it gets cut off. And you just get an ellipses, like the ... showing up. So it's not very good looking in the search results. And for example, this URL at the top, if this was a URL to a page on my website, that would be a little ridiculous. Imagine trying to remember this. It ends up taking up my whole notepad. So that would be a URL that isn't very good. But even if it was cut off right there, that's still ridiculous and very difficult. You can't manually enter that. And if you have a naked URL in, say somebody links to your website and they don't use anchor text, they just link with a naked URL, and it looks like that just looks ridiculous. And what happens in the search results is, say this is my URL right here, Google will just cut it off and it won't show the whole URL. Whereas if I have a URL like that, it's very clear what that page is about to search engines and users. So if somebody sees that in the content on another website, or just as a link like this on another website, it's easy to understand exactly what that page is about. So that's why using short URLs is ideal. And this would be the key word for this page. And I actually just created this page on my website yesterday. And the key word is local SEO services. And I do the same thing for my blog posts. Each of these, the URL is the key word that I'm targeting for that page. And using URLs like this makes it really easy for users to understand exactly what that page is about. And for search engines as well, because it's your primary keyword. So that's why you should be using short URLs with your keyword. Mobile friendliness, actually before mobile friendliness, and this actually goes in with or ties into hosting, but when you get your hosting, you want to make sure that they provide a Ssl certificate. And what this does is it adds the HTTPS instead of HTTP, and the S it stands for secure. This indicates whether or not a website is secure. The Ssl certificate, what it does is it encrypts communications between your website and the server. So especially if you sell something on your website, your customer's information can't be stolen because the data is encrypted. This right here is what you want to see in your address bar for your website, the HTTPS and then the padlock. And Google has made it a point to point out when a website is not secure. They even say it in the address bar. It says right here, not secure. And adding an Ssl certificate through your hosting, as long as your hosting company provides it, is ridiculously easy from within your cPanel. The visibility settings are basically, while your site's under construction, you can discourage search engines from crawling and indexing your site before you're ready for it to be crawled and indexed. So if you go into your WordPress dashboard under settings and then reading, on this page you can discourage search engines from crawling and indexing your site. Right down here, if this box is checked, then basically the search engines will ignore your site. So you want to make sure when your site is live that this is not checked. Down to settings and then permalinks. These are the permalink settings where you can adjust how the URLs for your pages will be automatically created. You can change them on a page-by-page basis from within the WordPress editor, but you want to set your URLs or your permalinks to post name. And what this will do is it will automatically pull in the page name as the URL or the slug. So instead of it being a bunch of random numbers like the date and then the post name, or even just arbitrary gibberish like that one I showed you from Google, you want it to be something simple so it's short and sweet. And you can change them, like say you create a blog post and the title of your blog post is how to change your permalink settings in WordPress 2019. You wouldn't want that to be your entire URL, and WordPress will automatically make it your URL when this is on, but you in the page settings would just change it to whatever you want, whatever your keyword is, basically, is what I would recommend. I mean, you can change it to whatever you want, but I would change it to WordPress permalink settings. All right, back to website structure, the 3-click rule that I had mentioned. And it's as simple as it sounds. Basically, like if somebody arrives on your homepage, they shouldn't have to click through like 50 different pages to find a page that they're looking for. So having a optimized navigation is important because it makes it a lot easier for people to get to different pages on your website. So having as many pages as you can in your primary navigation is ideal. Obviously you don't want to overdo it, but your blog posts, for example, I should be able to get to any of my blog posts within 3 clicks. So that's 1 click, and then a second click would bring me to the blog post. So that's what I meant by a 3-click rule. Mobile friendliness. This is extremely important. So your website should be mobile friendly and responsive, meaning that no matter what device a person looks at it on, it should respond and still look good. So to test your mobile friendliness, I'm going to use the mobile friendly test from Google. Just type in the URL and hit enter, or just click test URL. All right, so my page is mobile friendly. This is not how it looks on mobile, as in this menu does not sit over my homepage's hero section. For some reason, whenever I use a mobile testing tool, it opens the menu and leaves it that way. I think it's probably testing the menu and then it just captures the screenshot when the menu is open. This is an extension for Google Chrome. It's called I Love Adaptive. If I actually from my homepage, and this tool is awesome because you can test your website on multiple devices at once without having to leave your computer. And you can actually, I'm going to show you, but you can interact with your website. So it doesn't just test your website for you like with the Google mobile friendly test. This actually renders your site in as many, I think like 5 devices at one time, so you can see how it looks with slight differences in screen size. It's really cool. So as you can see, it's loaded basically 4 different versions of my homepage, but each one is a different device. So I have iPhone 6, 7, and 8, and this is the pixels, basically how wide and how tall that screen is. Then iPhone 6 Plus, 7 Plus, 8 Plus, iPhone X, and XR, XS, and XS Max. And it's as though the only thing it does is this. It's kind of weird. But I think well, I know it's only doing this because I'm logged into WordPress right now. So this admin panel is showing up at the top. That's why that's offset by exactly that much. And I have my header set to sticky. So you can see you can use your website as though you're on a phone. And you can use, these are iPhone displays. I can use a tablet, or I can switch to Android, or if there's even still Windows phones. But there's Windows tablets, so I can zoom in to get a better view. I think it's really cool. And like I said, you can like test different things on different screens as you're using them. So that one's loading my services page. I can click over here and go to my about page on this phone. So you can try like 5 different phones and have them each going to different pages on your website. It's a great tool, especially for when you're designing a website. It's great for testing out to make sure that your pages actually look good on every device without actually having to have the device. And it's an extension for Google Chrome, or there is an extension so that when you're on a web page, all you do is click on the extension, which is this like green box thing, and it'll open that web page in the adaptive window. Next up, I believe, is Pagespeed. Yes. So testing the page speed of your website is very important. This directly impacts the user experience of your website. I'm testing one of my blog posts on GT-Metrix and my homepage. So 87, that's not bad. It's because of my hosting that I'm getting an 87. I have Bluehost. They're not bad, but it's shared hosting. So until I feel like paying for dedicated hosting, I'm stuck. I ran this test before doing this video and I got like a 97. Now I get an 83. Whatever. So that's how you test your website speed, and this will tell you basically what's slowing your website down. I don't get why it's saying that I should leverage browser caching, because I am, and I'm using a content delivery network. So that was our page speed test. And next is the caching plugin, which I'm using WP Rocket. It's a premium plugin, but it does quite a bit. And it's only like $40 for a year. I don't even know how many caching plugins for WordPress, but this is the one that I'm using. I got it right before Black Friday when it was on sale. It was like $10 off. So maybe like $50. But it does make a big difference. It basically, caching stores a version of your website so that it doesn't have to completely load your website anytime somebody visits it. And another way to ensure that your page speed is as fast as possible is compressing your images before you upload them to WordPress. If you upload, say you take a picture with your cell phone and then want to post it on your website, and you just upload it from your phone onto your computer and then put it on your website without doing anything, that picture is going to be massive, like 16 megabytes or something insane. But on your computer screen, the picture is going to be massive, but doesn't need to be, because a monitor doesn't display images like the same way that your phone does, or like a printed photograph would if it's printed on photograph paper or whatever, that glossy paper. Basically, Tiny PNG enables you to upload 20 images at a time, up to 5 megabytes each, and it'll compress them, and it does a really good job. But before uploading a picture to your website, you want to resize the image so that it is resized to whatever the maximum size it's going to display at, and then compress it using Tiny PNG. And if you don't want to go through that, you can use a plugin like this. So Short Pixel, as you can see right here in their slider, if I drag this over, like this image on the left was originally 260 kilobytes, but it was compressed 75% to 65 kilobytes, and you can't notice any difference in the quality. And this will basically, you purchase a bunch of credits and it will compress your images on a credit system. So if you upload one image, essentially it's one credit, but it will also compress like the thumbnail for that image and any resized versions that WordPress creates. So one image may use like 5 credits, but you buy like 10,000 at a time. It's a really good plugin and it works really well. This is SiteLiner, and SiteLiner is what you can use to check for duplicate content on your website. You just enter your URL, hit go, and it will scan your website and check for duplicate content. So this is ready. It's telling me I have one broken link, which I already fixed. I did this scan earlier and already fixed the broken link. But down here, it tells you how many pages it was able to scan, how many it was, or it skipped, or was told to, or was redirected, and then how many it skipped because there was a no index, and how much duplicate content. So 6%, I have 6% duplicate content, which is actually a lot lower than normal. The average is like 14%, and it gives you like averages for how long your pages are taking to load, the average number of words per page. Mine's pretty high, because the average website has 657 words. I have 2,975. So that is where you find out about duplicate content. And on WordPress, if you're using Yoast, which I recommend using for SEO, Yoast automatically adds a canonical URL when you create a page. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about canonical URLs because it can get pretty confusing. But if you don't have a lot of duplicate content, then you don't really have to worry about canonical URLs. That's it for technical SEO and some things you can do to improve your website's technical SEO. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Please subscribe or like. I think that's a thumbs up on YouTube. And if I missed anything, which I know I didn't cover everything about technical SEO, but if there's anything I missed or that you would like me to create a video about, let me know in the comments. Have a great Memorial Day. Thanks for watching and have a good day.